Good news, Malaysian Flight 370 has been found again. Every time they want to distract us from something, this plane, the Malaysian Flight 370, always seems to be found every year. But this year, lucky for us, it's actually been found twice back to back in two different locations. One news report says it's been found in an area in Cambodia. Another news report says they have found it in an area near Australia, near Perth. Now, there are multiple news articles saying they have found this plane in Cambodia. And when I read this news article or these news articles, my conspiracy senses went off because I remember them saying they found this plane a couple years back in this same spot in Cambodia. So I fire up the Google, I type in MH370 found in Cambodia. And what do you know, around this same time, I found an article going back to September 13th, 2018. Search party heads into jungle after possible MH370 discovery on Google Maps. So I read a little bit further. Aviation experts use a helicopter to search the Cambodian jungle in a daring bid to find flight MH370 after a sleuth claimed to have spotted the wreckage online. And this photo in 2018 looks like this plane is in the same area that current articles are saying this plane is located. Now, during this time back in 2018, you can clearly see there's a plane located here on Google Maps, and there's a $70 million bid to find this plane. So people send search parties, they send private helicopters, even the Chinese government sends out spy drones to search this area, search this Cambodian jungle where this plane is located. They have the exact coordinates, they do the measurements of this plane on Google Maps, and it comes to check out that it is the size of a 777. So after going to the coordinates found on Google Maps, the private search parties and the Chinese government could not find this plane. Matter of fact, they could not find any pieces that were scattered, and they could not find any bodies. Oddly enough, the Chinese government comes out and makes a statement saying, "We have not found any plane whatsoever at this location." So one would think, that's it, it's over. The search for the missing MH370 plane in the Cambodian jungle is over. Well, apparently not, because like I said, there are multiple articles coming out saying the doomed flight MH370 has been found in the darkest parts of the Cambodian jungle on Google Maps. But this time on Google Maps, the plane looks a little bit different because the previous plane shown in 2018 looked like to be an intact plane, but now it appears that they found the tail and the back of the plane. There is a gap between the two. So finding this and once again measuring what's on Google Maps, they are for sure this is the missing Flight 370. They believe the measurements do check out once again that this is a Boeing 777. But yet, after all this time, there are multiple articles coming out stating that radio technology has finally detected the doomed plane's final flight path. The flight MH370, which was carrying 239 passengers, can now be found 1,560 kilometers west of Perth, Australia, thanks to amateur radio. A weak signal propagation reporter was able to track the Boeing 777's flight path for 6 hours after contact was lost. So wait a minute, you're telling me that we did not have this amateur radio technology back in 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and so forth. We now have the technology to track this plane's flight path. I mean, no really, make that make sense to me. For almost 10 years, we could not track this plane. We could not find this plane whatsoever that had almost 300 people on board. But 10 years later, almost 10 years later, we are able to have this radio technology that can track this plane's flight path. That makes no sense whatsoever. As the article continues, it does say, in a new 229-page report, there goes those numbers once again, 922, 923. But yet I am the crazy person every time I point out how much this number or these set of numbers appear in the news and media. But whatever, this report states this technology has been developed over the past 3 years, and the result represents credible new evidence. But again, as I said previously, it just boggles my mind We did not have the technology back then to track this plane. How does a major airliner, a Boeing 777, go missing without a trace in 2014, in the year 2000? Even saying that sounds asinine. But this report aligns with the analysis by Boeing and drift analysis by University of Western Australia of debris recovered around the Indian Ocean. So if they are so sure they found the missing Flight 370 in Perth, Australia, with radio signals, and Boeing agrees these radio signals also align with their findings, then it leaves the question, what exactly are they finding with satellite technology in the Cambodian jungles? Because the distance between the Cambodian jungle and Perth, Australia is 5,081 kilometers, or it would be a flight time of 6 hours and 23 minutes. So there is no way that this plane can be in these two different locations. Neither can this plane's parts. So let's say it did crash in the Cambodian jungle. Parts did fly out, and maybe it did land in the waters and float out. Well, Indonesia does separate the Cambodian jungle and Australia. So any parts flying out would have ended up in Indonesia. So again, that begs the question, what do we believe? Do we believe our satellites, or do we believe this radio technology? Because if the Flight 370 is not in Cambodia, then what massive airliner do they keep picking up in the Cambodian jungle? Now, oddly enough, both of these locations also do have inconsistencies. Now, Perth Island is located on the Indian Ocean, and back in 2017, they did state they found parts of the MH370 plane in the Indian Ocean. Now, when these parts were recovered, many people were skeptical that this was the Flight 370 because of the barnacles that were found on the parts. The barnacles that were found were about a month old, which would be impossible for a plane that crashed in 2014. So from 2014 to 2017, they are finding barnacles on these parts that are only just a month. That does not make any sense. So the parts they found were slowly swept under the rug, and it was never confirmed that they actually found the Flight 370 in the Indian Ocean. So now once again, they are saying the Indian Ocean does hold the mystery of the Flight 370, just like what they found in the Cambodian jungle. So we have two places where they are sure the Flight 370 crashed, but every time they have researchers go there, what they find just does not add up. So me being a person that loves conspiracies, that loves the paranormal, that believes there is more to this universe than what we see, I do wonder if this plane somehow is stuck in two parallel universes, two different alternate realities, that our satellite technology can pick up a different reality where this plane crashed in the Cambodian jungle, and yet radio technology can pick up a second alternate reality where this plane crashed in the Indian Ocean. Because every time we go to these locations, either, like I said, in the Cambodian jungle, the plane's just not there, or when we pick up parts in the Indian Ocean, the timing of the barnacles and the parts itself being in the waters just do not match up at all. And what makes me believe that there also could be some time alternate reality distortion here, the victims' families were actually getting phone calls from those who were on board this flight days after this plane supposedly went down. The victims' families were even able to dial out to the victims' phone numbers, and the phones would just ring and go straight to voicemail, which gave the victims' families some hope because they thought the government were able to track these devices. Matter of fact, in total, 19 families have claimed the phones of their missing loved ones rang without answer for 4 days after the plane disappeared. One telecommunications expert even stated, if the plane had crashed in the Indian Ocean, there is no way the phones would still ring. As soon as the phone is submerged in water, especially seawater, it dies. But according to a wireless analyst, the ringing tone the families were hearing is just a psychological trick used internationally to keep callers waiting while the network tries to connect. Now, while this isn't a concrete answer because he says it might be able to connect with a phone that is off in airplane mode or no signal at all, but in reality, that may just not be the answer. It's just one possible answer. There is even multiple reports of those on that plane were calling out to their loved ones during the time that this plane disappeared. Investigators reveal MH370 co-pilot tried to make a call from his mobile phone after the aircraft vanished, but was abruptly cut off as United States denied reports the plane landed at their remote military base. In another reported instance, there was this little girl who was gathered with others whose relatives were on the Flight 370, hoping to hear any information about their loved ones. Well, come to find out, she was showing everybody her phone, that she was receiving a phone call from her father. As soon as she answers, the phone call abruptly ends, making people wonder, did this plane even crash at all? That maybe they landed somewhere and they're being held against their will. Now, I did make a video short showing that the pilot actually did leave a message where he said, SOS, do not get off this plane, they are not human.
Did you know there was a reported black box recording of the mysterious Malaysian Flight 370 that disappeared on March 8th of 2014? The box recorded the captain saying, danger, SOS, it is dire for you to evacuate, be cautious, they are not human, SOS, danger, SOS. The recording would also contain a series of coordinated numbers. The YouTube video showing the voicemail would quickly be set to private, and Snopes would quickly call this a conspiracy theory.
Now, these two different reports of this plane this month, either being located in the Cambodian jungle or Perth, Australia, is oddly coming out around the same time that the video footage being released again of 3 UFOs sucking this plane into a portal. This video was released in 2014, a few months after the plane disappeared. It was swept under the rug, and then oddly again, it rears its head out in 2023. Now, there are some that are saying that this video footage is easily faked, while others are saying, hold on, this can't be so easily faked. It would take a lot of manpower to fake something like this. And I'll let you decide. I will link that video below. In any case, thank you so much for watching. If you do like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.